Welcome for this last talk on this Alpha Room. After this talk, we have the lightning talk starting at 5, so if you haven't submitted the lightning talk yet, then do it right after this talk. So let's welcome to the stage Alin Voinea from Web. He'll be talking for us about how we move our Plone blob storage to object storage, so like S3. So that sounds very interesting. Let's give applause for Alin.
Hello everyone, and thanks for coming. I don't know if you know that in other rooms are topics more interesting than mine. It's the Victor presenting 7, so he's not here. But yes, I'm Alin Voinea. I work with Web Romania and the European Environment Agency since 2007. We started in Plone 2.5 and now we are using Volto. And yes, my Discord ID is Voinea, so from now on you will not miss it because it's on every store in Finland. It's almost like my ID. So if you need to ask me something, just ping me on Discord. Also, Finnish people have nice messages on the outdoor screen. So yeah, it's cold, but at least they're funny people. Okay, so if you are here for the 1958 Blob movie, no, it's not about that. Sorry to disappoint you. But yes, the blob storage is indestructible and nothing can stop it. So there is a way of saying. So I have when I do things, I always start with these 3 questions: why and how, and why do we want to move blob storage to S3, how do you do it, and what you will get. So this presentation will cover these main 3 We'll try to answer to these questions. So yeah, these are from the Golden Circle from this book. So if you didn't read it, do it because it's a very good book that will shift your paradigm on doing things. So before we start, let's see how many of you are still using Zio. Whoa, why? Rails storage, in the Rails storage documentation is this question: why does Rails storage support SQLite backend? Because if you know SQLite, it's a file like data.fs. So what's the point? And yeah, but it's typically faster than Zio. So Rails storage with SQLite is faster than Zio. So stop it. Stop using Zio. I mean, it's so easy. You can convert your data.fs and blob storage with this command. You have this XML file. You give the path to data.fs and to blob storage, and then the destination will be the connection to Postgres. And the recommended way of doing or storing blobs is like this, or you can store blobs outside outside Postgres, but there is a big warning there, and the warning says that the ability to do parallel commits is reduced. So it's highly recommended to store blobs inside Postgres. In real world, this means that if multiple editors uploading file, the editor 2 will wait for the editor 1 and so on and so forth. So, or you have script that processes many files, will block other site activity, or if the user uploads large files, it can create bottlenecks. So let's start with why. Why do we want to move blob storage to S3? Because, yeah, I have this slide from our Indian guru Gaur Gopal Das, and he says like this: do you have a problem in life? No, then why worry? Do you have a problem in life? Yes. Can you do something about it? No, then why worry? Can you do something about it? Yes, then why worry? So yeah, yeah, you don't need it. So yeah, really, you can, yeah. Also, I have a tradition lately. I come to Plone Conf before with my family, and they are trying to train me for this this presentation before. So my daughter gets the most dangerous places to put me in. So yeah, before the conference, I've been to Tampere in Finland, and yeah, you can see the city from the top. It's a nice view, but yeah, sometimes Plone feels this way also. So yeah, so seriously, in most of the cases, you don't have to move blobs to S3 because what we have now, Plone 6 with rel storage and PostgreSQL and blobs inside PostgreSQL, it's a rock solid solution. This will keep the data integrity consistent and security. You can do PG dump and PG restore very, very easily. But let's see some motivation. So you cannot store files larger than 2 gigabytes with rel storage PostgreSQL. And that's not true because if you read the Postgres documentation, rel storage keeps in this system table files, PG large object that can handle up to 4 terabytes of per individual large object. So that's a higher limit, in order to be able to store large objects, you will have to modify this. And I don't know if you have anything on front of your Zob and Plone, you will have to modify also in Nginx. You can see here, I don't know, connection timeouts, all this stuff. And after you do that, you will not get an error, but magically, if you upload the Ubuntu image that has almost 6 gigabytes, rel storage or Plone or I don't know who does this. It looks like it optimizes your file. But it actually cuts it and you don't get any error. So you will have a 2 gigabytes. So this is not busted, actually. But yeah, we will have to find out who's cutting the files and okay, yes, you have large projects. Your database, if you store blobs inside Postgres, one of the things is that you will notice when you will migrate from Zio to Postgres, you will see that it's more space than the Zio and blob storage in DataFS. I think that's because Postgres rel storage keeps the files encoded or something is there.
Probably some indexes or something.
Yeah, but it's almost double or 1.5 in size more than. So there are solutions also for this. There are databases as a service. So Amazon supports up to 64 terabytes of of Postgres, also Google, Microsoft, DigitalOcean, and also Heroku has 1 terabyte limit of Postgres. So until these limits, you don't have to worry about. But then why? Why do we want to do that? Because of the cost. S3 costs 20 times cheaper. I mean, in Hetzner, because we are in Europe, S3 costs per terabyte of data €5. In Amazon, it's around 25, and the Postgres costs in Amazon around €500 per terabyte. So, yeah. Then, maybe you want to serve, you want CDN, the image scales are the main problem in Plone, in large Plone sites. Maybe you want to do video streaming. I don't know, you have large PDF scan files, or why not put the AI models in Plone? Yeah, S3 has file versioning, and also maybe you have a website that have a lot of old content and you cannot get rid of it. So you can offload that content because nobody's touching it. So you can offload it to S3. Yeah, also on large rel storage deployments, yeah, ZODB pack can take ages, backup and restore. And yeah, we always had this problem. I don't know if it will solve it or not. But yeah, also we have 7 coming, and maybe we can directly from 7 layer put blobs to S3 directly, or whatever solution we find out. So when and why and when should you consider moving to S3? I think if the database, the Postgres reached 100 gigabytes, it's a good moment of thinking about doing that. Or you need to, as I said, to stream large files. You need geolocation, CDN, third-party API integrations, because once you release your blobs from Postgres or Zio or whatever, then you can do things with external tools like machine learning or this kind of stuff, or indexing them in Elasticsearch, Solr, and yes, or as I said, you have old stale blob files inside. What should you consider before moving to S3? Consistency. I mean, when you remove content, you should also remove from S3. Security, because if you publish the bucket on S3 then, and you have private stuff, okay, think about that. How do you do ZODB pack and cleanup? So what happens when you do ZODB backup, ZODB pack? Backup and restore. And here I'm also thinking about staging and development environment. You should consider how you can replicate S3 and the performance. So let's move on and see how should you do that. So there are some solutions. One of it is seamless mode. It means that you use an operating system library driver that will mount the S3 bucket on disk, and basically Plone will see that as an NFS folder. So you don't need to do any Python integration or something like that. The performance, it's bad, very bad, awful actually. Yeah, and you can have consistency issues, or so this is not recommended in my opinion for production sites, but it's best for testing and see if what you can do with S3. There is also another way of doing this would be to do it at the ZODB level, and that would be the best in my opinion, but let's see who tried to do that before. So Jim Fulton, who is one of the father of ZODB and also did a lot of work on rel storage. So he did a thing in 2014. This is S3 Blob server, but it's not maintained. It's not in Python. So yeah, but we can look into that solution because maybe we can find good ideas there. Also, as I said, if you have old blobs, there is collective S3 blobs that will offload your old blobs to S3, and it's actively maintained. David Glick is here in the room, so if you can ask him any questions. There is also this thing from 2006. Lawrence is here. What do you know? No? At the conference? Okay, so yeah, this was a solution to basically put the entire ZODB in S3, like transactions, I don't know exactly. But yeah, and we also have the solution from Andreas Young, the XML director connector, and this one is basically it will mount an S3 bucket in Plone, and in Plone you will see it like a folder. I hope I'm right, and you can put your files there, and then they will go to S3. Last commit is 2021, but Andreas Young is here, so you can talk with him about it. And the best approach would be to do it at the application level, or you can do it at the application level in Plone frontend. You can have custom blocks that will directly write to S3 widgets, or you can have custom content types S3 file. But the best place, I think, is Plone named file. And here we can add S3 support. The thing is that if we do it at the ZODB level, we did this at the sprint, and you don't have the metadata of the file in the transaction at the transaction level. And so basically you have a data, the content of the file, but you lose the content type, the file name. So here we can do something in Plone name file. Now I know you don't like Amazon and other closed source solutions, and that's why there are alternatives. Min.io is the most popular one, but I think Seaweed FS has a better licensing thing. There is also a French version called Garage. I didn't look at it, but I found it out there. I don't know if anyone has experience with it. Okay, in the end, what we should get from this? So basically, if we store blobs to S3, we need the file name and the content type. to be able to directly serve it from S3 with this kind of links, or I don't know, you can put it behind Nginx or traffic and have a blobs.example.com or /blobs. I don't know, why not cache them, even if I don't see the point. So, also, we need to work on REST API and directly provide S3 links in order for Vault or other frontends to get the file directly from S3 and release the backend from offload the traffic from Plone backend. Yeah, what are the next steps? There is a clip about it. It's this 4088. We are going to sprint on it on Saturday if you are here. So yeah, questions?
So we have a lot of time for questions now because Alin was so efficient.
I have one. Don't you have security concerns about serving files? Because if somebody knows the URL, given that it comes directly from the Blob store, Amazon, it will have no security checks, right?
Yeah. Buckets in S3 have some security permissions, so you can implement something at the S3 level. But yeah, that's one of the main concern, security, because if you have sensitive files, I don't think you should put them in a public S3 bucket, even if the URL is cryptic. So don't do security by obscurity.
Thanks for summarizing the situation well. As we look at how to build this into maybe Plone.named file, I'm aware that Django has a mechanism called storages, where it's sort of an abstraction layer for how files get stored. So they can be on the file system, or they could be in S3 or something else. Have you looked at that at all in terms of how it's designed? I think that might be worth seeing. What we could end up with is a bunch of special case code in Plone.named file that handles S3 in particular, or what we could end up with is figuring out the right new interface where maybe you can plug in different storages. And I mean, that would be nice if it's not too much extra work.
Yeah, that's why if you have experience with S3 or Django, as David said, or ZODB and rel storage, because I saw rel storage is if you're storing blobs inside the PostgreSQL, is not using the iBlob storage interface. It's doing some patching there. I don't know.
Details about how it's working.
Yeah, so we can look into that if you have knowledge about it. Please come to the sprint or come to me and David and ask, and we can talk about it and find the best way of doing this.
Thank you. Any more questions for Alin? Or maybe David? Okay. Oh, one more question.
Am I using S3?
Yeah, your product.
Oh, there's what? You're asking about the collective S3 blobs thing I made. That was created for one particular client who is still using it. They're, I think, on Plone 5, so I don't know if it works on Plone 6 without any changes, but I'm guessing there wouldn't be very many changes needed. It's a specific use case, right? It's a site where people are uploading trip reports every day. And so there's an archive of old trip reports with old images that don't get accessed very much. And so it's offloading those to S3, but keeping the current ones in the ZODB. And then there's a hook where if you try to get a blob that no longer exists locally, then it'll go try to get it from S3. But it doesn't like write anything to S3 manually. There's a script you have to run periodically to move things over and so forth. So it's, maybe a model for some pieces of what the solution could be, but it's not, and it's not at the application level, like Alin was saying, might be the best way to do it. It's at the CODB level.
Thank you. And I'm sure at the split, Alin, so there's a lot of discussion there too, for all the possible solutions we have discussed already. And I guess we come back to this topic during sprints. So thank you, Alin. One more big applause for Alin.